Well, I mean, I hope they won't walk into those crossers of the USPSs this time around, as we are kicking it off with the pistol round. Ladies and gentlemen, the Malta Vibes, of course, the Eden Arena Malta Vibes Cup number 1 is now live on Group B, and we are seeing, of course, GAMBIT Youngsters versus SKADE.
I like the decision from Oxygen to offer a lot of utility. I think that's something that a lot of teams ignore, and that is going to work out for them at least early on, because Duplicate is able to take down Shiro. Now the CCs have the disadvantage, and Empress has been tagged down heavily as well. Axel not being spotted yet. He had a really good opportunity there to capitalize on that position, but that is not going to be the case. Now Rainwalker coming around the corner. He's going to be the final seal on the deal, the flex tape on top of the cardboard box to package them up and give them a free pistol round. Very nicely done by SKADE.
Yeah, I'm not even surprised there. SKADE, like I said, right, they have the better team play. They have the better understanding of how to work even against teams that are superior in certain sense of the word to them. But in this case, GAMBIT Youngsters, it is the CT side, right? They started off a little bit rocky here, a little bit off the cuff, and we're about to find out, well, of course, once the gun round comes, how exactly the CTs will be responding, how exactly the CTs will be playing. In this case, GAMBIT Youngsters. The first thing I kind of want to point out is Shiro on the op. If he gets the op early on, you know it's going to be a good game. That much I can guarantee.
Yeah, because GAMBIT Youngsters, they've previously also relied on Shiro popping off. So this brings me to the point that you made earlier, that SKADE is probably better at team play, and that can be the testament to that is the fact that they were able to win previously in a game in a best of 3 against GAMBIT Youngsters, despite the fact that all of their players across the board had pretty mediocre stats.
I mean, you know, mediocre stats or not, it's just the individual performances sometimes that shine brighter than a diamond, right? And that's I think one of the most important part that we can kind of highlight. Although, let's hold on for a second and see if perhaps this B push might come to an abrupt end if properly ordained by GAMBIT Youngsters. Unfortunately, Exile, he's the only one that really has something to say about this, as GAMBIT Youngsters will be taken down a notch. Here comes the first gun round.
Was there a single player going down for the CT side there? I mean, sorry, for the terrorist side there?
Yes,
I think
just
not,
one.
right?
Yeah, just one. There was...
Oh, okay. As he moved into the B bomb.
Yes, through tunnels at car is basically Exile getting that entry, that one kill. But you know what? For SKADE, they're not going to be overly
the damage doesn't really matter that much, especially
exactly
when you're on the T side. But early on, they do have to have a bit of a grip on their economy. Now, the GAMBIT Youngsters obviously still not much money to work with. And I like this decision from them to not try to go for any early forces, because they know that SKADE's weaponry will be overpowering them significantly. So they're going to be taking a chill. They want Shiro to be on that AWP, presumably. GAMBIT Youngsters is trying to do as much damage as they can right now, trying to fish out some information over towards mid and short. Flashbang comes in.
Yeah.
Duplicate is able to get that information. Shouldn't be long before Shiro goes down. Well, doesn't go down, but he quite literally goes down as he drops into CT.
Well, I mean, there's only 2 ways. Well, there's 3 ways you can go down, but I think the third way we won't discuss in the stream. In any case, Supra is able to steal one away, but that's about it. Overall, SKADE is able to secure themselves a nice little early start. 3-0 is as good as it gets. Now, one thing, yeah, you already mentioned, and I have to concur, I have to absolutely agree with that, is the way they approach this third round by not forcing the issue, by not pushing into the full buy and the utilities. They went in with the... They went in, of course, with the pistols and a few nades, and that what allows them there is the fact that what that gives them is the op for Shiro with a comfortable amount of utility and Kevlar. They've got the kits coming out, they've got the utility for the rest of the team. Now they can properly meet up the challenge of SKADE. And as you said, right, they don't want to risk buying just mini Kevlars, a little bit of utility here and there, and a few M4s to work with. But look at SKADE; they're making a fast way in towards B site itself, and they're going to be going for this split by the looks of it.
Oh, this should work out beautifully because the op is stationed all the way towards A. There's a lot of responsibility in the hands of Supra, and he's going to make something happen. He gets 2 players down. There's only 1 player left on the terrorist side. Spellin coming around the corner. Just a Galil to work with. 1 versus 3 situation. even has an op to worry about. He has salvaged an M4 now, though. Doesn't have any utility to work with. Beautifully done by Gambit youngsters, but are they going to be able to stop the stopping power of Spellin? He has 4 kills and 0 deaths right now. So it would be interesting to see if he can continue this lead. Live to fight another day. Oh, that has to be brutal. Not being able to connect the spray properly. Yep. He's getting sandwiched all across the board. And I like the attention to detail from the CTs there, where they let a player back off from the doors. I'm not sure what player that was, but Shiro substituted him with the AWP because they don't want to lose that one weapon, because they know there's nobody alive to be able to retreat that weaponry. So they're not going to be taking the risk. They just let the player in tunnels and Shiro take care of it.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? If they allow Shiro the freedom and if they trust in his skill, then you know that you can rely on him covering the vital corners, and you can focus, of course, on covering the flank. But in this case, GAMBIT youngsters, what I like from them is they're actually avoiding to actively control mid. Rather than face down middle and actually take a fight, they take it easy. They put 2 players on B side, they make sure they have that hold in steady, they make sure that, of course, long is controlled as it always should be. And interestingly enough, they even play a little bit of a presence towards short itself, being Shiro, of course, with that AWP posted on the drop down. Intez finds himself an entry, though, and already we see a great response from GY. They pull back, they get the one, and they are not looking for further frags, and they go into a complete turtle mode. I like this a lot, and they are really putting a lot of pressure on SKADE here.
Yeah, I think you can judge the philosophy of the way they play Counter-Strike just by the round where they defended B. I mean, obviously, the previous round just now. Because what they do is they try to delay the push as much as possible with their utility, because the rotations aren't that long on Dust 2. I mean, especially when you have the AWP station towards the A bomb site, there is a lot of presence towards mid just by virtue of the scoped sniper and being so powerful at these long-range angles. Now SKADE, though, with 30 seconds on the clock, they're going for the nade stack towards short to grant them free entry in here. Double flash goes out. They should be pushing into bomb site very soon. Enters has a huge job to do here with the AWP that has been taken away from the hands of Shiro. But is he going to be able to pull up the number? Shiro has done a great job with the M4 here. Axel follows suit. And it's a 4 versus 2 now. Duplicate and Spellin. The bomb is down.
Yeah, Spellin has an opportunity to perhaps make this one a little bit clearer if he can find one. Yes, he does, but Intez, the reaction is almost instantaneous as Duplicate now has to play this challenging position, challenging moment. He's also in a bit of an awkward angle to work with. Unfortunately, his head being spotted by Nafani. And there you have it, as GAMBIT youngsters pick up their second round. SKADE, they will have to lick their wounds and, well, think on the future. This is an eco round for them, or at least should be. At the very best, they can go for a few Kevlars, a few mini, well, a few pistols, a little bit of utility here and there, and potentially an SMG or 2. Now, a Hero AK might come into play, but I wouldn't really risk it if I were them. And GAMBIT youngsters, they seemingly are unfazed by the loss of the first 3 rounds. And, well, definitely, as you said, it makes... Well, it makes perfect sense that they would let go of the first 3 rounds after losing the pistol, that they kind of concede the point and not force the issue more than they need to.
I really like the excellent attention to detail here from GAMBIT youngsters. I mean, you can see that their players are not afraid of getting their hands dirty. In the previous round, we saw that when when Enters was low on HP, Shiro paid AWP, and Enters was still able to be effective on the A bomb side, albeit he didn't do that much, but it's just a testament to the fact that they have that dynamic element to them. It's not like they one person to be excelling at the AWP. They know that it can be passed around if the need calls for it.
Yeah, that's actually a good spot. And the best part here for GAMBIT youngsters in this current situation is that Shiro can get away on through long, and okay, he's taking a very risky move. Shiro, he really is putting himself out there, but I guess he's not too afraid. A lot of smokes are popping off, and that allows SKADE to get the bomb plant. 5-on-5 retake, not one that I would usually say to see in a position like this where they're literally playing with rifles. But let us see how it is all going. Exile finds himself too easy as that triple coming out as well. Okay, the quad. I mean, it's an eco they're going up against, but still, they do lose 2 players, and it comes a little bit more costly than it should have had. But in the end, they handle it 3-3 in the terms of the score, as SKADE are once again diverted down the line.
Yeah, I think it was very nicely done because they did not lose that much weaponry right there. And that I think for the CT side, that is always going to be one of the biggest elements of play, especially in the current metagame. SKADE still, though, for them, they were able to get the bomb down, and that's what matters the most, so they can build up a bit of their own while doing a small amount of damage to the CT side. And one thing that is a little bit unlucky is the fact that it had to come to Exile getting that 3K. I mean, that looked a little bit too dangerous, too close for comfort. And now, speaking of comfort, Gambit Youngsters is not going to be afforded any because Duplicate has already gotten a kill down mid. So much control being given to SKADE, and that is one of the dangers that is posed towards you as soon as you start abandoning mid. And I think SKADE has been able to recognize it and immediately make adjustments to capitalize on it. Spellin now is able to shut down Exile, who tries to push up a long.
And we can see in this case, Shiro, yeah, he's going to be, okay, taken away as well as Oxygen. He's having an easy time shutting it out. Second overall on short itself. A little bit of a surprising turnaround. The biggest surprise, I guess we could say, is Exile pushing long. I did not foresee that. It definitely feels like they felt
Honestly,
pressured because of that.
Honestly, for Exile to push long, that was fully expected for me, because if you're in the position of Gambit Youngsters, now I'm going to try to walk you through both the perspectives. For Gambit Youngsters, they've already lost a player towards mid, so they need to get more information, and with the potential of mid already being fully controlled, because they don't have anybody that's able to cross in from B and watch, or even have the information over from long, they need to have one person push in, and from the perspective of SKADE, they know that they have denied this sort of information, so what they do instead is they switch up their pace just a little bit to watch out for the push that is expected in lieu of utility, in lieu of not having information.
Yeah, but I mean, sure, but then again, you know, the fight or the take came through short, right? So if we really want to be more pedantic about it, it didn't make sense that Gambit Youngsters would look to take long control as far as they did. They had, you know, they basically had long control in that essence. Exile really was looking for in through nooks and crannies to try and get himself into a better position. And I get the reasoning behind it. Don't get me wrong. It just felt like perhaps his timing was a little bit off, especially given that SKADE were yet to lose a player, were yet to even show their hand. It was simply just an entry that Gambit Youngsters had to deal with. And well, this time around, through short, a bit of a boost, not really making out too much of anything, just an attempt that doesn't really pertain to too much in the end. Double up setup, though, might give them a bit of a better chance at shutting down a few slower paced plays from SKADE.
SKADE this time around, very slow approach. And you can see that in the minds of Gambit Youngsters, SKADE are slowly building up a pattern that they will not adhere to themselves. I mean, getting mid control early, this sort of builds up the information in Gambit Youngsters' head that, oh, we need to start taking care of mid, but that is not going to be what is required from this round. The short push coming in, Shiro, oh, he is in such trouble because the Molly is knocking him completely out of position, and that allows free entry for Duplicate and Rainwalker to come all the way into the bomb side, but Shiro is yet to be taken down. The bomb goes down with all 5 players alive. 1-for-1 trade for the snipers. Now, as the CT side tries to go for the retake, but 4 players are so difficult to contend with when you're on the terrorist, when you're on the CT side. Shiro waiting patiently for this push from Rainwalker, but it's not going to be coming. Duplicate shuts him down, and it just comes down to enters as Shiro. Just such a difficult spot to be in, having to deal with the angles on Ninja and on short. 2 players all the way over on short. It's looking like a checkmate here, and that is going to be the case. The King has been taken out. 5-3 for SKADE.
I'm a little bit surprised Shiro decides to linger there and that he actually takes that long of a time to
Yeah.
even take a challenge. And yeah, the Molotov did obscure his vision and actually didn't allow him to peek out by the time SKADE pushed up to site. But he had at least an additional 10 seconds where he was literally just waiting in the corner to jump on that box and get himself into a better spot instead of, doing it a little bit sooner, potentially shutting down a few key players out of SKADE. In the end, though, SKADE take it. No surprise there. They clean up the round, and a bit of a surprise again, the GY don't pull back and actually save, as you mentioned, having a player to deal with in Gandalf, as well as two players on short, or at least one, almost certainly without utility, without Molotovs and smokes to try and block vision, try and block the push, the attention. It kind of was a dead end to begin with, but in this next round, we will be seeing more mid-presence from GY. They're going to be putting their eggs in one basket in this case, and unfortunately for them, the basket is a little bit too small or has one too many holes in it, as they get absolutely shredded by Denislav. This is 6-3 before long. I gotta give it to SKADE, by the way. I did expect them to play well, given that what I've seen in the past was nothing short but nothing short of brilliant. Yet GAMBIT youngsters, they always kind of have a special place in my heart where I really do love them in terms of how good they can be when they put their mind to it. But I think age does come into play here. And something I guess we really didn't touch upon as well is the fact that, Spellen, even Denislav are basically, in a way, the old farts of CSGO. And don't get me wrong, Spellen obviously, he's still here, he's still performing like no other, but he has been on the scene, he has been a part of the professional scene for so long that his experience tops anybody on the server, and there's no doubt about that. And I think in that case, GAMBIT youngsters definitely are lacking, and we can see right now that that lack of experience is also coming into play. The current positioning. Look at SKADE. Look at how they're playing this. This is gonna be crazy as Rainwaker walks up through middle, takes down Nafani. The new door is giving them an angle. Supra actually jumps onto Big Box and tries to take a challenge towards, of course, tunnels. Unfortunately for him, he's not predicting that there's a player already outside a window, which is kind of weird given that he got a kill just beforehand. And we are back to square one. Minute on the clock as SKADE is already securing the B site, and they are now encroaching on top of the 3 players left of GY that are all tucked away on long itself. Definitely starting to raise a few eyebrows, if you ask me in this case. The T side of SKADE was never in doubt. Their aggression is not as... Now, the main difference I think we can draw, or the main difference, the main line differential between the two teams that we can draw here is the fact that GAMBIT youngsters rely heavily on their personal performance, on the performance of some of the players, on their, of course, on their aim-based, more aim-based than anything else. I'm not gonna try and take away from their team play. They still are obviously trying to work this as a unit, as any one team should, but SKADE, they approach this very differently. Every time they engage, for the most part, they have at least 2 players taking that fight, or at least taking that chance, and I think that is where really their strength lies the most in, where every single time there's a potential frag that happens on SKADE, they have a refrag either ready on the other side of the map, or in the same basically angle that they've lost the player. We can see that the money takes a deep dive as well, 7-3, as SKADE is literally pummeling, GAMBIT youngsters into the ground. And one hell of a show here to begin the best of one with.
Yeah, SKADE, I think they have a very strong performance already on the terrorist side. But you have to keep in mind that Dust 2 is one of those maps that already had a pretty significant advantage on, well, no, I wouldn't say pretty significant, but I would say a measurable advantage on the terrorist side. And with the metagame that around the economy, it's just too easy to start snowballing on the terrorist side. So obviously we can't really count GAMBIT youngsters out just yet, despite the fact that there's already 8 rounds on the board for SKADE. Man, I think we're really going to start to see the competition. We're really going to start to see the floor under SKADE's feet summer when Gambit Youngsters is on the terrorist side, because right now it's looking very difficult and they haven't really been able to find the picks that they're looking for.
Yeah, like the thing is, or the kind of concerning factor for me also is the fact that Gambit Youngsters, Dust 2 is one of their best maps. Historically looking at it and just knowing from watching them play for so long, Gambit usually chose Dust, and it was usually their best map to go to. And it really was absolutely ludicrous as how good they could play. But this is definitely cause for concern here. Their aim is just not being enough in this case, and they're being literally taken apart one by one on every single engagement. And we do see they're trying to adjust. We do see they're trying to play a little bit differently. They're going to go for a bit of a conservative setup, having that player in CT boosted on left side boxes, from which point they can see in case of a smoke execute towards the push of ramp B, whilst making sure that A-Long is consistently in their hands. Shiro taking a bit of a challenging take towards long doors. Overall, SKADE, or excuse me, GY, definitely fearing SKADE, although I would dare say that it would be much better for them to try and take this a little bit differently and perhaps open up a bit more. Oh, the action though, Oxygen, he seems to be reading Nafani's position like almost perfectly, as Exile does get one in return. It's down to Supra all alone, a 1-on-4, no chances. Supra is able to shut him out. The bomb, though, has been lost in middle. Oh boy, that is definitely a concerning factor now. 22 seconds. Time is ticking. Doesn't matter, does it? Rainwaker, what the heck-a-moly is that? All of a sudden, it's back to a 2-on-1. Or make it a 1-on-3, excuse me, as Shiro with 9 HP has no option but to get the hell out of Dodge, as SKADE legitimately is now a scary prospect in the eyes of any team they're going to be meeting.
Yeah, they're on fire. I mean,
wow.
They're just one round away from being on double digits. That is definitely a scary prospect. I mean, Gambit Youngsters, they've only managed to scrape by 3 rounds. And if I'm not wrong, it was off of the pistol round too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was. Thinking on it now. You caught me there, and I'm actually thinking on that right now. I think it was. In any case, it is going to be an eco again. I mean, it's really, what can you do, right, in this kind of position? You don't really have an option. I mean, the money is not there. Just overall, they're really going through a very tough position in itself, and we do see that SKADE in their current stance, no issues whatsoever. They seem to be so confident, so resolute. It's scary when you see SKADE in a phase like this. It really is. And, well, Rainwaker is going to be able to take down Shiro, making sure that the pistols do not get too far. And, well, this pretty much confirms it, gents. This is double digits before we even begin. Actually, when I think on it, it is a little bit reminiscent of, how to say... It's definitely reminiscent of that series I've seen between SKADE and Gambit Youngsters. Was basically so long ago in Home Sweet Home when I was casting, when me and Kieran were casting, and it definitely kind of rings a bell as to how that series began. I believe the half ended somewhere between 10-5 for SKADE, give or take. Or is it the other way around? I really actually have to think. I have to double check that. Point being that overall, Gambit Youngsters, I know they struggled on Dust, and like I said, even though this is amongst their better maps, or at least a map they've played so many times before, that really it comes as a bit of a shock again that they are having such trouble even taking it away. But as we do see, it is going to be the gun round that could change everything. 5 to 10 is the best score they could hope for, and certainly they'll need to achieve that, otherwise they are screwed out of a putsch. They really need to have 5-10 if they want to have any sort of chance of securing this map. Or at least somewhat of a meaningful end of the half, right?
Yeah, this is dangerous though. I mean, look at the positioning from SKADE. They don't have a single player any but short, and Gambit youngsters, it doesn't seem like they're going to have an immediate response to this. But he's in a great position to catch them around the smoke. Shearer's already gotten one, and Axile is able to follow it up with a kill with a nade and his M4. Now Spellin, he has a lot of work to do. 1 versus 3. Can he follow it up? He is wary to the picks of the CTs as he checks behind himself. Misses a shot there, and his position is fully revealed. He has 2 hungry wolves to deal with in the back lines. Switches over to the AK because he needs the fire rate. He can't afford to get double peaked when he's holding on to the AWP.
Oh yeah, that's one of the scary parts when you have an op. You have to be very vigilant of your engagements, and if you know you're being hunted, you have to choose your fights very carefully. Unfortunately for him, it doesn't really matter when Supra has something to say about that. And as I said, 5 to 10 is something they'll be striving to. Well, it's really the only thing they can strive for. And if they don't pick it up, 11-4 already is devastating in my mind for Gambit youngsters, given that they effectively were supposed to be, at least on paper, a better team than SKADE. Albeit, you know, I am doing a bit of injustice to SKADE themselves in this case. They certainly are a scary team of their own right to compare. And good shot, by the way. Spellin able to hit that cross as Nafani gets tagged to 13.
I think the one thing that has been rare for SKADE is the fact that they've been constantly switching up their pace and keeping Gambit youngsters on their toes. So Gambit youngsters are constantly relying on these raids where they potentially try to post up 2 people towards mid. Oh, nice shot by Shira, but still. They're trying to post up 2 people towards mid sometimes, 1 towards A and whatnot. But SKADE always seem to find themselves on the better end of the bargain. They end up taking control of areas where they seemingly have the advantage. So a bit of luck on their side as well, but also just great plays to mislead Gambit youngsters all across the board. Now SKADE already down a man. It does look like they're going for a B play. Utility comes in, flashbangs roll out, Nafani and his teammate have so much work to do. Rainwalker gets the entry, Denislaw follows it right up, and it's a 3 versus 3 raid take, and the smoke is going to be impeding their progress. Molotov as well. This should make things significantly harder. The bomb is ticking down now. Oh man, this is going to be a pretty hard retake, especially just look at that position from one of the Gambit side. Axile is all the way in the back of T-spawn. He has to clear out he has to clear out the tunnels as well. That is a lot of time wasted, and the bomb is already ticked halfway down without a single kill coming out. Now the CTs finally move in. Spellin, flashed out of his mind, is not able
the off angle.
even fire the shot just yet. Oh, he eventually gets it, but they're moving right in. Nice 1D by Shiro to start things off.
Oh, they get it!
Down Denislaw, and they somehow get the defuse in time as well. Wait, do they have the time?
Yes.
Yes, they do. That is solid stuff. I mean, cutting it so close, but they're able to put 5 rounds on the board.
That indeed is cutting it close, cutting it down to the edge. A little bit of a surprising factor that Denislav and both Rainwaker take such a straight fight before they even have to meet before they even have to go up for a challenge. You know, Denislav definitely could have tucked away in the corner, Rainwaker likewise. But then again, it wouldn't be fun if it weren't at least something closer to a meaningful result for Gambit youngsters. 10-5 as SKADE have the utter lead, and as we can see, the second half, the second pistol is about to go live, ladies and gents, as GAMBIT.Y is struggling to compete against SKADE. We are jumping into this second half that will prove to show who is the better team on Dust 2. And as good as Gambit youngsters might have looked on paper, it seems like it's all for nothing, given how it's all being swinging. Ooh, Supra, fair enough, gets 1 oxygen, still able to snipe out Exile, kicking off this pistol with a bit of a banger, but leaving A side wide open. This is a problem. Duplicate, I mean, he's alone. That, for me, is wide open. If he gets sandwiched in, as he's seemingly going to be, definitely causes a little bit of concern and headaches for GY, for SKADE, but it looks like Duplicate. Oh boy, I mean,
Oh man.
I will never doubt this guy again in my life.
He did not look like he wanted to be a sandwich there for even a second. 11 points already for SKADE. They're off to a really strong start. The pistol round looked pretty convincing, and that's off of the back of just the individual play coming in from Duplicate. They're not able to contest the aim duel. Just so many missed shots there by the T side, and even when they do end up tagging him, Duplicate just going 90 degrees, just going insane there. Just solid stuff all across the board. I think that was a 4K for Duplicate. And the problem is, Gambit youngsters, they don't have that much breathing room to work with because if you think about it, even though the chance that they have to shine is on the T side, how are they going to shine if they don't really have that many rounds to work with? And this is just a mowing ground, just pretty much just a lawnmower taking care of the weeds. barely any damage on the CT side. But that's expected. I mean, it's an eco round, and I can respect the decision from Gambit youngsters here to wait for the AK-47s to come through, but at the same time, the question is, wouldn't it be better to go for a force fight, especially considering the fact that they can pretty much be evenly matched up in terms of firepower, and also try to contest it for the 6-11 rather than comfortably giving them the 12-5?
Well, all becomes clear here. This gun round is all that GY have to show for. If they fail to deliver, if they fail to find at least some success, some meaningful ending, most likely we are looking down a barrel of a 14, potentially 15 for SKADE. And if that's going to be the case, oh boy, I don't even want to consider the potential future. And we can see SKADE's position on middle. They are taking such an aggressive stance. Oxygen, he's got a lot of information going his way towards long. He's definitely hearing quite a little bit of a few footsteps through short as well. It is going to be Duplicate that hears it all. The flank from long should be a dead giveaway to Gambit youngsters, though. They are walking into a living trap, into 4 players, most likely holding the line. The line up as Denislav is able to get the one. Good return by Nafani at least. Still going to be continuing on forward though. And a flank through short might be ensuing for GY. They need more than the one though. If they allow this to go... Oh, I've seen this before, but Intis in exile. Vital 2 strikes. One on Goose, one on short, and that should be the round itself gone. Lucky. If not, perhaps timing-wise a little bit CSGO there, SKADE.
Yeah, especially for Duplicate there. The player on card was already about to be taken out. He fired a couple shots, gave away his position, and that is what they were able to take him out based off of, because otherwise they didn't have any information. They had to pick on the A site. They felt pretty comfortable moving into the site. I mean, the car player wasn't looking there. 2 players on ramp weren't looking there. So it did look like for a second that it would be another highlight play coming in for Duplicate, but just didn't materialize. Rainwaker, though, ends up finding one. What he needs to find, though, is peace and comfort somewhere in a corner where his weapon will be safe, and that's exactly what he does. 12-6 now. Gambit starting to make a case for themselves, but will that case be convincing enough for the judge, which is the scoreline?
Well, I mean, you know, they get 1 round, so in that sense, we get a taste of what is potentially to come. Yeah, not exactly fully yet, but at least we get a taste of what is potentially to come. But for SKADE, it might take, you know, it might take more than just a little bit to break them, just 1 round to break them. Although we can see the B push scroll, Rainwaker. Oh yes, baby, give it to me more. The spray down hits the first in the headshot, shuts down the push by Shiro, and then Intis getting caught trying to run away as a scared baby there with a tail between his legs. GY, they're shut down before they even have a chance to attempt this round, or attempt to take this round. Now, of course, it is very much wishful thinking running in towards B with a full buy, but I understand the decision behind it. The spawns were not too shabby. They had a chance to try it, although relying that your opponent will not shut you down is relying upon that, of course, that your opponent will not shut down the play through the smoke is a little bit of a wild guess, and well, it doesn't pay off, unfortunately.
And now SKADE, they can feel very comfortable in their shoes. They have 1 player on mid. They're just playing a basic 2-1-2 setup because right now, SKADE can be... Oh, Rainwaker going for the quick bit of aggression. As I was saying that they were being passive, I mean, Rainwaker just tries to toy around with them a little bit. Now the smoke allowing Supra some breathing room for maneuverability, but that also allows SKADE to reposition themselves. A peek coming out from the side, Duplicate landing a nice little headshot onto Supra, and that leaves Exile in a 1 versus 4. Pretty much looking impossible. I mean, he does have the bomb at 15 seconds, and he has 4 players to deal with, and the flank. Pretty much no man's land there. 13-6. I mean, the one thing that I said before the game is that if somebody from Gambit Youngsters doesn't pop off, hint, hint, Shiro, I don't think they have this. I mean, SKADE are looking pretty strong. And that does seem to be the case so far, but I mean, Gambit Youngsters, they haven't really had much time to stretch, really exercise their leg room on the T side yet, but when will they is the question. I mean, they only have 3 rounds left up until they are knocked into the lower bracket.
That's the thing, right? They only have a few moments or a few rounds that they can really make a difference with. And by the looks of it, they are running out of fumes, running out of gas in general. GY, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying they desperately need one to pop off, but they definitely need to be on point. Shiro needs to be hitting some, you know, Shiro obviously needs to be hitting the shots. That's one thing. And then Nafani, he's one that usually shows up quite nicely. He's the one that tends to carry his team in the most darkest of hours. And, you know, obviously looking at Supra Intes, both players very well tuned to the pressure that usually accompanies games like this. And Exile, I mean, there's no need to even point him out. He's a great player in his own right. And given what I've seen in the past from Gambit Youngsters, usually I would say, you know, yeah, sure, it's 13-6. Yeah, sure, they're kind of dwindling about. They're kind of swinging in the wind a little bit. But this should be, you know, this still should be quite open for consideration if we were talking about Gambit Youngsters, the one that I'm used to seeing. In this case, though, this is very different, and not just that, SKADE are actually 10 times more on point than one would ever imagine. Beautiful spray down by Spellen, and we are having ourselves a little bit of a proper how to say hunt. Yeah, that's you actually put it well. It legitimately right now looks like, feels like, and definitely smells like a quick GG easy kind of game, and I wouldn't even be surprised.
They've typed in the GG, they've smashed the spacebar, they've put the E, but the Z awaits. There's still 2 rounds for Gambit Youngsters to play around with. Duplicate trying to go for this early long control. Oh, I think he might have not spotted the fact that Inters has already crossed over towards Dumpster. This could be dangerous if he can maneuver around this. Smoke isn't doing him any favors though. Felony has the same job yet again. Deja Vu trying to go for the spray down. Is luck gonna be on his side this time around? I don't think he needs luck though, because he does have teammates that will be going down apparently. Well, he needed luck then, I guess.
Well, a little bit unfortunate, sure. Spellen definitely exposing himself a bit too much in that angle, but then again, it is as it is, right? And at least Exile and at least the rest of Gambit Youngsters are able to clean the mess at hand. And 7-14, halfway through and through. Feels like they're halfway through those spiral stairs, and there's definitely a little bit more to go on. Either way, as we do have ourselves another buy, double up, Denislav and Spellen this time to wield it. Good attention to detail as the Molotov burns into Spellen, finds one more oxygen to support the hold. Long control sure might have been contested for a second, but it looks like the payout will be still better for SKADE, although they do get 1 in return. It doesn't matter when Denislav seems to be absolutely on point in his own right. And there we go, map point and series point, or match point if you want to call it like that, as SKADE are looking awesome.
Yeah, for Gambit Youngsters, honestly, when they got that round, I thought, okay, maybe that's a glimmer of hope, but a glimmer of hope is exactly what it was, because it didn't really materialize into anything more than that so far. Immediately getting shut down, and just look at the money on Gambit Youngsters as well. Even if they win this and they lose a few players, I don't think they're going to be able to buy up the AWP again in the event that they lose it. Inters and Exile on Deagles. Now that is a rare sight to see when you're looking at the terrorist side, man. It just doesn't happen very often that you're going to see the terrorists that are broke. Gambit Youngsters though, trying to establish dominance towards the short area. Very similar play here to SKADE, as they did on their T side. With the exception of a little bit more attention towards mid, especially with the player situated on the top of mid, where he's trying to get 2 points of information, where he's trying to as check for the long push while also trying to cut off the rotation on short. Now, GAMBIT youngsters directly moving into the bomb site. Spellin, though, he starts it off nicely by hitting his first shot, tries to go for the blue fire around the corner, doesn't connect yet, misses another one, and that could be very costly, but right before he falls, he will be clinging onto one as he takes him down into his grave. Supra and Inters have a lot of work to do now, and Supra will be making his responsibilities a little bit easier as he starts it off nicely. Position. I don't think they spot him in the smoke, and will Inter's kill matter?
No.
Because he still has Denslaw to worry about. Man, oh man, Rainwaker. That was such a clever position from Rainwaker, and what a good note to end the series on.